Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Reporters. In this edition, Cameroon's English separatists. They declared independence unilaterally 1,000 days ago, but that independence now seems as far away as ever. Hostilities continue in Cameroon's English south, which they refer to as Ambazonia. Images of slaughter pepper the internet. Catholic bishops in the UK have even intervened, making a call for an end to what they're calling human rights abuses in Cameroon. And President Paul Biya's military has been called into question. The separatist government in exile even accusing Biya's forces of genocide. Our team has been to the region. Regina Sondo is our reporter. She joins us now. Regina, it's a complex story and you've had to overcome many obstacles to cover it. Tell us what they were.
Thank you, Mark. One of the obstacles we encountered covering this story was the security issues. You know, nobody can have access to this region, especially those coming from outside, without the military escorting them. And even though we were with the military, it wasn't easy, as a convoy was being attacked severally from the southwest to the northwest region. Most of the people living there are actually afraid of the unknown, which was what we saw on the ground.
Regina, thank you very much indeed. Let's take a look then at the report by Regina Sondo, Patrick Fandio, Michel MVONDO and Luc Amel Nguo.
The scars of war mark the walls of the houses, a reminder of a fierce battle on this road. Now the gunfire has gone, life has slowly returned to the streets of EKONA, a town in the southwest region of Cameroon, once wrought with battle between Anglophone separatists and the army. The military patrols these straight roads regularly. Despite the calm, they are still protecting convoys of traders and passengers in this region, where secessionists dreamed to install the capital of Ambazonia, a breakaway state they declared in October 2017. Christians of this Presbyterian church abandoned their congregation when the armed conflict started. Today, some families are gradually returning. People once displaced by a war are now preparing to celebrate a Protestant feast, the Harvest Thanksgiving. George is one of them. He fled the war and hid in the bush as a refugee. According to the UN, this conflict has displaced 680,000 people.
There has been a lot of disaster with the word of God. He said God it will not intervene. So we will pray, may God make us say, may the peace continue. Make peace come, make killing end. We say bye-bye to killing, we want but peace. We build our country, Cameroon. I'm almost 70 years, I'm a Cameroonian. I'm at the point of going to death. I will die as a Cameroonian and they will bury me in Cameroon. I don't know, I don't know whether that name is a strange name to us. They will know of Cameroon.
Above EKONA rises what's known as the Chariot of the Gods, Mount Cameroon. The mountain dominates this part of the country. The two Anglophone regions racked by a crisis for more than 1,000 days. To drive from the southwest to the northwest region, we follow a light armored car belonging to Cameroon's elite military force, the safest way to travel on this road.
Are there bombs where you are? Speak.
There's a fear of roadside bombs. Captain Ibrahim Diop is monitoring the danger closely. He anticipates an attack on the convoy by separatist fighters who place improvised explosive devices on the road, a new strategy used in the conflict, similar to a guerrilla warfare tactic.
In the previous months, there were frequent ambushes on the road. That is, the secessionists, after having driven out the population. They occupy the buildings and hide to shoot at the defense and security forces or at administrative authorities' convoys. So we were obliged to take measures to reduce this kind of threat.
The threat has been reduced, though not eliminated. Suddenly, the convoy is attacked by an ambush sniper. The The convoy drives through villages recognized as strongholds of separatist fighters, locally called Amba Boys.
We were dealing with secessionists who were demanding independence and the establishment of the virtual Ambazonia state. But today we're dealing with outlaws who are bribing the local population, from roadblocks to kidnappings and demanding ransoms, meaning that we've moved past secession to organized crime.
A few kilometers away, troops fire warning shots to prevent further militia attacks. After 3 hours of travel, we arrive at another English-speaking region, the Northwest, the last stronghold of non-state armed groups. Our convoy again comes under fire. The Cameroonian soldiers fired back. The end of the journey, Bamenda. The city remains symbolic for starting a protest against President Paul Biya's regime 4 years ago. The revolt was peaceful in the beginning, but over the years escalated into a full-blown conflict. The first anti-regime protest took place here at the end of 2016. Teachers, judges and lawyers demanded more English-speaking teachers in their regions and demanded that the Anglophone culture be upheld in a bilingual Cameroon. To protest against what they say is marginalization, they adopted a policy of ghost towns, ordering shops to close and vehicles off the streets. Almost 4 years later, the city is still paralyzed by the ghost town movement, unlike cities in the Anglophone Southwest region, which hardly respect it.
We will get in on foot, up till where the target is, Romanus.
In Bamenda, we attend a final briefing for an undercover operation. The aim? To arrest a man named Romanus, a suspected leader of an armed secessionist group tracked down to a house using intelligence.
We gathered information that there are so many guards that if we stumble on them during the undercover operation, they risk thwarting our moves.
Don't you think there's a possibility of a leak? After everything, we must not make it an accident or a mistake.
About 20 soldiers are part of the operation, deployed to track down insurgent leaders who fled villages and now live in urban areas. The young Lieutenant MVONDO TAMWO is in charge of neutralizing or arresting Romanus.
Now the greatest danger we face is the fact that secessionists are hiding among locals. It becomes difficult to work, because now if you launch an erroneous attack and a civilian is affected or wounded, it falls on us. The second, you're in the last vehicle. Let's get in, we're going.
The infiltration would take place in the outskirts of Bamenda, a bustling area with a potential risk of collateral victims, a risk everyone here knows about. Several NGO reports have documented the deaths of dozens of innocent civilians since 2017, caught in the crossfire between separatists and soldiers.
It's okay, you guys can cross. Turn your torches on. Be silent, be silent.
In the dark, in a harsh storm, over farmland and rough ground, the troops advance on foot for almost a kilometer before arriving near a house without being identified.
When you arrive, let me know. Call me. They're very dangerous. The slightest noise, the slightest weird signal, they become very suspicious, and as soon as they get it, they tend to flee. Either flee or open fire hastily in order to escape.
The commander's first group of soldiers benefit from the sound of the rain muffling their arrival and get into the house without firing a shot. Inside, we follow the second team getting into the room. On the floor, a man who seems to match the description of the wanted separatist leader.
He was very surprised that we arrived. The rain rocked him to sleep. He was comfortable. So he couldn't imagine that tonight we would come in and catch him. You know, most times when they come, they live in a house. They're just temporary shelters, maximum for 2 or 3 days, then they leave.
During the operation, the soldiers also seized a semi-automatic rifle and large caliber ammunition. According to this Army Special Unit, it's proof that separatist groups have progressed from homemade weapons to weapons of war. The geographical location of this region facilitates the illegal importation of weapons. In this jungle setting, between mountain peaks and a tropical evergreen forest, a no-man's land on the border between the English-speaking Northwest and Nigeria, Lieutenant Colonel FRANKY PELENE, head of the Allied Unit, inspects the border.
You see that village there? It's a Nigerian village. There the border is only separated by the stream, and you see that it can be crossed very easily almost anywhere. They use it as an opportunity to smuggle ammunition and weapons. The border is undefined. It's very easy to get into Nigeria and come back to Cameroon through the various routes.
The helicopter lands in the last Cameroonian village bordering Nigeria, Fruawa, recently recaptured from separatists after months of battle. The remains of a burned school can be seen in the village square. More than 70 schools have been damaged in English-speaking regions where education is at a standstill. About 100 children in this village haven't had access to education for the past 1,000 days. The separatists called for a boycott of the Cameroonian educational system in the region, which they say was dominated by French.
I know that your principal problem here now is school resumption. It's very, very important. You know, we're going to help you to have benches and tables.
In the crowd, frustrated parents cry out for help. They want their children to go back to school. In this region, 5,000 schools remain closed and 1 million children have been deprived from education, including a good number of orphans. Orphans such as these, who spend their evenings watching television amid them visually impaired teens. Charlotte saved their lives a few months ago by escaping with them to the forest to hide from the fighting.
This is miracle. Yeah, she was abandoned in the bushes. We don't know anything about her parents, whether they died or they were killed or they ran or what. I cannot tell you. We spent 6 months in the bush and it was here. Until one day they told to my mommy, let's go. We better go and die in the home than to die here in the bush. Mosquitoes, hunger, no water. See, I say it was here. And I am really pleading that if there's any way that the government can do so that school should start, let peace come, let school start, let the children go to school. It will be a very good thing.
Encouraging schools to restart while hoping that full calm returns. That's the soldiers' strategy to try and win the population over. They also hope that the people here part ways with the separatists. But those armed and near invisible independence fighters are determined to carry on with their fight in the English-speaking regions. It's difficult to get in touch with them today for security reasons, and the main pro-independence political leaders are either imprisoned or in exile. 1,000 days later, their Ambazonia remains an unfulfilled dream.
Our reporter Regina Sondo is still with us. Regina, thank you for that insight into what's happening in Cameroon. The Ambazonian leadership has put to the UN, they say, 100 cases of human rights abuses by BA's soldiers against people in what they call Ambazonia. It is very much a complex situation right now.
Yes, indeed. It is really complex because we have both parties pointing fingers at each other. Each time there is a slaughter or maybe a mass killing, We have the military pointing hands at soldiers or separatists, and then separatists pointing hands back at the soldiers. We do not really know who actually commits these atrocities unless an independent investigation is carried out, which usually takes months.
And Regina, Daphne Yerima, who is the Vice President of the interim Ambazonian government, has called Cameroon a failed state. Is there any evidence from the other side of the coin, from Paul Biya, that there's any feeling from his side that he's looking to sort of go towards peace and allow these people to keep their Anglophone culture, their Anglophone, well, their English language?
This question is, it actually just falls in time. We're looking at 1 year after a major national dialogue that was held to solve the Anglophone crisis. We had over 1,500 persons who came from far and near to attend it. But then 1 year later, when you look at what's happening in these regions, you cannot really say that probably the government has these people at heart. Nothing is happening. We're looking at back to school, or people going back to school, especially these children, on the 5th of October. But then it is really uncertain if people can actually even go to the shop to buy even a loaf of bread. What not about children who are stuck in their homes and are not able to go out to study. So if this crisis had to be solved, they would want their president to probably come out and talk to them just like any other person should do.
As you put it, if people are scared to go out and even buy a loaf of bread, it is a very complex and almost disastrous situation. Regina Sondo, thank you for your report, which really threw the light on what's going on. Thank you for your analysis as well. We really appreciate it. Regina Sondo there, joining us from Cameroon. You can, of course, see Regina's report again via our website, France24.com. This is Reporters on France 24. Stay with us and stay safe.